When people talk in real life, they hardly ever just come out and say what they mean. It's said that only 7% of human communication is our actual words. Especially when fragile emotions are involved, we really have a tough time as a species just saying what we mean. Instead, we act out in sometimes seemingly unrelated ways. We might pout or fold our arms or look away or slam a door, and we'll usually talk about anything else. This is referred to as subtext. Subtext is what we say or do beneath the surface and applies what we really mean. As writers, we have a tendency, especially during those first drafts, to have characters say exactly what they're thinking. They might talk about how not having a father figure made them more dependent, or they might gush about how much they love someone else. This is called being on the nose. In other words, expressing your feelings literally. People just don't do this very often. As a matter of fact, people often say the exact opposite of what they really mean.
You see? That is just like you, Harry. You say things like that and you make it impossible for me to hate you. And I hate you, Harry. I really hate you.
So it might be acceptable or even helpful for you as a writer to write on-the-nose text for that first draft. But on that rewrite, you gotta utilize subtext. It not only makes your film feel more genuine, but subtext can also be a more powerful way to express what a character is experiencing. Subtext is probably most commonly seen in that typical family dinner scene where everybody's all tense and the family isn't getting along, such as in American Beauty.
So, Janie, how was school?
It was okay.
Just okay?
No, Dad. It was spectacular.
Or a similar one in Signs.
Now, we are going to enjoy this meal. No one can stop us from enjoying this meal, so enjoy it!
In these situations, the words that people are saying are sarcastic, or they're meant to dissolve tension, or whatever. But when people in a film talk about mashed potatoes, it's rarely about mashed potatoes and really about something else. And again, this is subtext. And despite the name, subtext doesn't have to actually be text. It can be something that the character does. One of my favorite examples of this is in the movie Lars and the Real Girl. When social recluse Lars Lindstrom first goes to see a therapist, he's guarded. He doesn't want to open up and share his life with anyone. But he doesn't just come out and say that. Now, even without hearing the words being spoken here, you can tell that Lars is not open with his therapist. This is a combination of body language, because he's facing away from the therapist. He's also distracted and playing with toys, but also notice his clothing. Do you think it's really that cold in there? Probably not. When people feel exposed emotionally, they cover up physically or even gain more weight. Later, when Lars starts trusting his therapist, we see him facing her, and the scarf and jacket are off. This is a powerful external symbol that does a lot more than Lars just coming out and saying, okay, well, I feel a little bit more comfortable now. Now, it's important to note, though, this is not just a thing in the movies. This is how all people, this is how you and I, this is how we work. In The Assurance, I struggled a bit with subtext. A lot of that was because our character motivations, frankly, weren't strong enough. So they had to be more honest in what they said. Also, Cordelia was an 8-year-old child, and kids are just kind of on-the-nose creatures. When kids feel a certain way, they tend to just say it. Also, frankly, I'm kind of an on-the-nose person more than most. If I think someone is good at something, I'll just come out and say it. But because people are so used to subtext, when I give out compliments about, oh, hey, that shirt and that pants goes together really well or whatever, it tends to come across just creepy and weird. And I'm never sarcastic, which is so unusual that even saying I'm never sarcastic sounds really sarcastic. Especially in the culture of the United States, subtext is just the standard. In the original version of the hut scene, Cordelia thinks they're going to go on this fun little journey, and she's just excited to get out and play. And Tayani knows she needs to let Cordelia go, but she's just not ready to do that yet. So as this scene plays out, it's clear that these characters aren't saying everything that they really want to. Sometimes one of the ways subtext comes out is by the order in which we choose to discuss certain subjects. For example, as Cordelia is talking about the believers, she then quickly mentions how hopeless a lot of them still are.
The few that are left gather often, to learn and to look forward to a brighter day. though even the believers doubt they will be around to see it.
By bringing this up right after she talks about the believers, it's clear that she is really thinking about how pointless it is to believe. In another example from the original script, after Cordelia is exposed, she's brought before the council. Mark Cullen asks Tayani, "What do you see?" 2 times.
What do you see?
The assurance?
What do you see?
Now he's really asking Tayani about the whole purpose of the assurance. He knows that she knows, but by asking this abstract question, he is controlling the conversation and kind of belittling her a little bit. This is all subtext. Subtext is all around us all the time. People rarely say what they really mean, especially when they feel vulnerable. So as you go through your rewrite, take special notice of when characters honestly say exactly what they're thinking, and consider changing those moments to actions or to text that's completely unrelated, and then let the actors create that subtext.